The state continues to emerge from this pandemic, but there is still a lot that needs to be done to fully recover. We'll touch on that and more on 7 UpFront with U.S. Representative Peter Meijer, Republican from West Michigan. Congressman, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me on.
Let's start with your vote to establish an independent commission to investigate what took place on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol. You were one of 35 Republicans in the House to break with your party. If this bill does not pass in the Senate, are we in danger of history repeating itself?
Well, that's obviously the greatest concern, is that we won't have the objective, authoritative, even-handed account of what happened, how we got to the point where January 6th occurred, but more importantly, how we can make sure that that never happens again, that political violence is we're doing everything we can to prevent political violence from occurring down the line. But frankly, even more so than that, if this bipartisan commission, if this goes down and doesn't succeed with 60 votes in the Senate, we're gearing ourselves up for what I frankly think Speaker Pelosi is hoping for, which is her ability to do a Benghazi-style multi-year partisan commission that will be more focused on revenge than on establishing the clear reality.
All right, in your short time in the House, and it has been a relatively short time for you, you voted to impeach President Trump. You supported Liz Cheney in her fight to remain in the Republican leadership in the House. Most recently, you were quick to condemn your colleague Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments comparing mask wearing to the Holocaust. But many others in your party were not, including House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who only today called her comments wrong. What does that say to you about the state of your party and who's in control of it right now?
Well, I think you always have to remove the log in your own eye before dealing with the splinter in another. And the sad reality is that we have a politics that is focused on attention, that prizes style over substance, right? There are real and serious and pressing issues we need to be talking about, from the withdrawal of our troops in Afghanistan, making sure that's done responsibly, from reforming war powers, dealing with cybersecurity incidents, confronting a rising China so that we are adequately equipped to make the next century the American century again, and not the Chinese century. And we're getting distracted. We're going down rabbit holes because we're far more focused on what generates attention, on what generates clicks and likes, than on actually what's going to be enduring and positive in the long term. So that's the type of politics I want to bring the Republican Party back to. It's obviously not a problem that just exists on the Republican side of the aisle. We've had Democratic colleagues who have made anti-Semitic comments in the past as well. But at the end of the day, we need to be focused on what unites us and not just playing further into a politics of division.
Yeah, and it's about power, gaining it and holding it as well, frankly, overriding some of the other concerns that you detailed so well.
And frankly, if it's just about power, it's not being played well. I mean, I like to think that we have to have a politics of principles that have a value basis rather than just politics and a powerful politics for its own sake. But even on that front, I mean, the path that the Republican Party's been on, we lost the House, we lost the White House, we lost the Senate. So doubling and tripling down on the same strategy doesn't seem like a winning one to me.
COVID cases in Michigan, as we switch gears here, continuing to drop. Certainly that's a positive thing, but we're seeing job shortages across multiple industries. You recently introduced a bill to address, for instance, teacher shortages. Tell us how you believe it would help.
Yeah, we obviously need to do everything we can to incentivize and kind of clear away some of those hurdles. Right now, the bill that we introduced was to help teachers access federal funds for grant-making opportunities so that they could not have to bear as much of the burden, in going through that certification and that graduate schooling process before becoming a teacher. We're seeing shortages in the teaching community. We're seeing shortages in law enforcement, civil service in general, those key fibers and glues that hold our communities together. So we need to be doing everything we can to make sure that, especially as we emerge from a pandemic that has put incredible strains and burdens on those communities in particular, that we're doing everything we can for them to bounce back so our society can heal and get back to normal.
So much more ground to cover. Unfortunately for tonight, we've got to leave it there. An open invitation to come back. I hope you will again often so that we can continue to get into some of these issues.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Representative Peter Meijer joining us tonight on 7 UpFront.